Moving on to long ball number 3 here for Monday, June 2nd. Seattle Sounders protesting Major League Soccer over Club World Cup pay, saying that they do not agree with the compensation agreed for the players for the participating players in the Club World Cup. And last night in the evening, the Major League Soccer Players Association put out a public notice supporting the Seattle protest.
Yeah, here's a statement from the MLSPA. They stand united with the Seattle Sounders players who demanded a fair share of FIFA Club World Cup prize money. By the way, the club, blindsided by this, they didn't know it was coming. Here's what the PA says. The new tournament piles onto the players' ever-increasing workload without regard to the physical well-being. In order to seize this additional calendar territory, FIFA had to commit historic amounts of prize money to secure club and player participation, basically buying their way into this tournament, right?
Sure did, yep.
And FIFA putting it on. As a result, MLS will receive an unprecedented financial windfall. Despite this windfall, the league has refused to allocate a fair percentage of those funds to the players themselves. For months, the players have privately and respectfully invited the league to discuss bonus terms, yet MLS has failed to bring forward a reasonable proposal. Instead of recognizing the players who have brought MLS to the global stage, the league, which routinely asks the PA to deviate from the CBA, that's a major part of this, right, is clinging to an out-of-date CBA provision and ignoring long-standing international standards on what players typically receive from FIFA prize money in global competition. I have seen that Jeremiah O'Shan, again, a reference to the Sounder at Heart coverage of the Sounders, best in the game, he was saying that not only was the club blindsided, but there was apparently an offer incoming that the players were going to be presented with a new offer in regards to the prize money for the Club World Cup, but the players didn't know it was coming, had not heard anything, had asked for an update, had not gotten one, had gotten radio silence, and then decided to go and make the protest, as you see here, with these t-shirts that have Mr. Monopoly. Is that his name, Mr. Monopoly?
Yeah,
I don't remember his name. Okay.
I'm not sure if it's official, but it might double as Uncle Pennybags.
Uncle Pennybags. I think that sounds right. I think that's better. So that's what they did. We do have Stephen Bank, who was a law professor at UCLA, who added some context to this as well, because he, of course, knows these things.
Yeah.
CBAs, which are often written to last for years, and this one in the case of MLS and their Players Association is 6 years. That's a very long CBA. Can quickly be outdated. No idea whether significant prize money was unanticipated, the subject of heavy negotiation, or dismissed as low probability. But it's an example where term sheets alone can miss key details. And this is Stephen pushing back against the MLSPA a bit. Contrary to what the MLSPA asserts, the provision isn't out of date unless they are arguing that 50% is not the right percentage. And I will pull up this section you can kind of see it there. Maybe I don't need to highlight it, but there's a section in the CBA that James Knowlton posted that says if an MLS team or MLS receives prize money by virtue of the team's performance and or participation in a compulsory tournament, that's what this would be. So it mentions ones that are not involved in this, like the Open Cup and the Canadian Championship, but things like this, if the team or MLS receives prize money, 50% of such prize money up to a maximum payment to the players collectively of $1 million per tournament. So again, this is sort of like there's a lot of money coming in. There's only so much that is allocated to the players. The MLSPA is saying this is an out-of-date part of the CBA. And Stephen Bank is saying, well, not really. You said they could have addressed increased prize money with some kind of escalation clause. So what he's saying is maybe the MLSPA was asleep at the wheel here and could have gone back and said, oh, you're going to put teams in the Club World Cup and lots of money coming in. And we noted that in the CBA, it says that the maximum of $1 million goes to a team per tournament. Well, then we want to escalate this because we know you're getting more money there. We would like to have an addendum to this. Or we would put originally when they had negotiated the CBA, obviously, that's when they would have to have done that. They would have to have said, if there's some other thing that goes beyond, like if the money gets really big, we don't want to be left out of, locked out of getting that money. So let's have an escalation clause. Maybe this is on the MLSPA, right? So this gets into that thing of what feels fair, Rob, versus what is sort of down on paper and in writing.
Yeah. I love when we bring in Stephen Bank. He's so articulate and really knows this stuff that's kind of beyond our scope of knowledge, and with the nature of American soccer and kind of the wild West nature, we have to reference him a lot. And it is a little disappointing. I think he's calling it out. I'm pro-labor in general, and players asking to do more things should be compensated more. But then you're like, well, he comes in with the well, actually here. The annoying well, actually. He's like, well, actually, you signed this thing that doesn't allow for that at all.
Well,
So
again, you get into a question of whether or not the PA, I mean, obviously they were aware of, I'm assuming they were aware of this, right? That the Sounder players were going to make a statement via these t-shirts, some sort of protest. And maybe the PA said, look, unfortunately, our CBA language locks us out of this extra money, but we can't apply pressure. Like, we can do this publicly in a way, because MLS, and again, what the PA stated in their statement was MLS has asked us to
that's why I wanted
violate. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. One of the most interesting parts is saying that the league comes at them to ratify or deviate is the word from the original CBA, but it seems like it's not reciprocal in this case.
Yeah, okay, but that's, again, this MLSPA statement is one side. It's he said, and obviously Major League Soccer is the other side. It's another he said, right? It is, you're going to have to make a choice as to who you want to believe is in the right here, because I don't think it comes down to the details. Like, I don't think either side can rest solely on the details of this and say, well, that's why we're right and they're wrong. Because again, the CBA says 50% up to $1 million. It's right there in black and white. The MLSPA wants to paint that as out of date. And really, it's just that you signed a CBA for 6 years and you chose those terms, right? The players didn't have to go in and sign a 6-year CBA. They could have said 3 years because we might want to renegotiate, or the money might change, or the TV deal might change, or whatever it is. That those terms are one of the points of negotiation when you go into these collective bargaining situations. And they painted themselves in a corner. And so what is their option here? To say, well, I guess we screwed up, no access to that money, or, hey, everything is changing, everything is moving, we don't think this is just and right. Let's have the players apply pressure to Major League Soccer and force MLS to respond and, quote unquote, do the right thing, deviating from the CBA, even though by the agreement, MLS doesn't have to do that.
I wonder if the hashtag that they put on this announcement, the MLSPA, was fair share now. I'm curious to see if that's going to be something that, catches on and, or quote unquote, goes viral. Will this spread? Will that spread the message like a la Save the Crew? Will people be as invested? So, any sort of word? I mean, I understand that's a high bar because that's like unprecedented, like supporter movement. But is this going to, do you think this pressure will escalate?
It's a good question. I think it's a really tough sell for the players. And unlike some other sports, these guys are not multimillionaires. They're not their salaries aren't crazy, out of touch with the rest of us. Some of them are making very good livings. Like, they're making 6 figures and more. I get it. But they're not they're not basketball players, guys who play 10 minutes a game getting $30 million a year. That's not what this is. But it still feels they're still removed, and it's still not, I don't know. The Save the Crew thing was about the club and the spirit and the community around that. This is really about just getting the players paid more. And as much as I'm sure there are Sounders fans who are pro-labor, pro-union, pro-supporting movements like this, it seems like to me this would be a tough sell psychologically to kind of get full support around, give those guys more money. Like, that's a tough one, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. Not apples to apples there. I am curious though if this kind of pressure could find some change at all. And then also, will this make the relationship between the Players Association and the league more fraught, because the PA has been accused of being a little too friendly with the league in the past?
I mean, that goes in waves. That bounces back and forth. I mean, again, when they get together around a bargaining table and they agree to certain things and it's for the good of the game, it's all kumbaya and look at what we did together. I mean, I do think that, there was no collective bargaining agreement for a very long time. We finally got one. MLS was holding back on allowing free agency even within the league, like all these things, right? Those have slowly unpacked, and we're starting to see that progress, but it's been a slog for the MLSPA. There will be some heated exchanges. We were not that far away from a lockout last time around, if I remember my collective bargaining history
Yeah.
correctly. That saber rattling is going to happen. I do think that more than sort of like, will this rally fans around the team, and will this create some sort of public movement, pay their fair share, et cetera, et cetera. What I would say is that Major League Soccer's biggest risk here is that they look like they're not giving players their fair share when you want to be recruiting internationally, when you want your best American players to stick around for a while. So if you have a reputation, and Major League Soccer has obviously had to push back against this, and part of this is the roster building and the rules around it and the limits on what you can spend, and the MLS already has that, which they baked in for parity purposes. So you constantly have to worry about, like, are we an attractive league for players? Like, do we pay enough, basically? And if you're not going to be the Premier League, what is your level? But I don't think you want to be looking like your skinflint here, or that you're not willing to pay players what they are owed, I guess, through performance, through making something like a Club World Cup. And if everybody else, and if teams from other leagues that are on the same level MLS are coming to this competition this summer, Rob, and those players are making much more in bonuses from the Club World Cup, that looks bad for MLS.
If you're watching this video and you haven't hit subscribe yet, do so now. Doesn't cost you a darn thing. Don't get spammed or anything, and it helps this show become sustainable and grow to the heights that we are trying to bring it to. You can take it a step farther. $3.99 a month for the membership gets you into the Discord, gets you early access to videos, and much, much more. Even some bonus content thrown in the mix. You can also support outside of the YouTube sphere. Coffee.com/morningkickaround. You can do a one-time or a regularly occurring donation. Thank you to everyone who has done so already. You can find us on the socials, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and we go by the handle of MKickaround. You can also write us a note on the emails, morningkickaround@gmail.com. And you can also find us as a podcast on your favorite audio platform and in video version on Spotify. Just remember to look up Morning Kick Around